live? Hello, hello. I think I'm live. All right. We're going to double check, make sure that I am live. Facebook takes a second to get it out to everybody. There we go. I am live. Perfect. Awesome. Hello, everybody. It's still not showing on the thing. There we go. Hello, hello, hello to everybody. I'm so excited to be doing this live workshop with you guys. I'm just going to wipe my nose a little bit. We're going to give everybody a chance to pop on before we get started. Excuse me. Excuse me. Got the frog in the throat again today. Still having the frog in the throat. So just real quick before we get started with the workshop, I have a whole series of workshops planned for 2025 that I'm doing free on this page. And they come from my Online Sales 101 course. And the reason why I wanted to do them free on this page is I have noticed that a lot of people that come into the Handmade Sellers Club and, they're ready to learn how to sell their products and how to use the super seller system to sell more of their products. Oftentimes they get stuck on some of the basics of starting a handmade business online. And so we have the course in Handmade Sellers Club where we teach you how to go or we teach you how to grow your business online, how to actually create an online business. But some of you guys are stuck even before you join Handmade Sellers Club. And I get these questions all the time. So that's what I'm going to do with this free workshop series is answer really the most frequently asked questions I get about selling online. So that's what we're going to start with today. If you don't want to wait the entire year to watch all of the different trainings, we do have, again, this entire course, everything that I'm going to be covering in 2025 during these live workshops. We do already have in our Handmade Sellers Club under the Online Sales 101. So if you're already Handmade Sellers Club member, you can always go into the Online Sales 101 segment of the training and look for things like how to pick a product, what platform that you should sell off of, what's the difference between Etsy and Shopify. Excuse me. How do you ship a product? How do you price your products? How do you shipping, pricing? How do you accept payments for your products? So all of those are subjects that I'm going to be covering over the next 12 months during these lives, but you can get them immediately if you become a Handmade Sellers Club member. I am going to drop a link for Handmade Sellers Club in the comments below. This is going to give you a 2-week trial for only $7. So you can come in that 2 weeks, watch everything in the Online Sales 101 course and get everything that you need to understand the online landscape, understand the differences, again, between a Facebook shop, an Etsy shop, and a Shopify shop, to understand how to ship your products and the different options you have for charging for shipping, how to accept payments, etc. All of that is in this link. So I'm going to drop that link there below. And so what we're going to be talking about today is how to pick a product. And this is a question that comes up a lot. And some people ask this question, but other people should ask this question, right? We kind of have this mentality that like whatever I make is the thing that I'm selling. And sometimes, many times it works out that way, but sometimes that doesn't work. Simply making a product doesn't mean that that's what you should be growing your online business with. It doesn't mean that's the product you should be growing with. So picking a product that's going to sell online is fundamental and important. So we're going to talk about what a product is and then how to go about picking a product, especially based on the products that you're already making, right? We don't necessarily need to start from scratch, but you do need to step back. Even if you think, oh, I've already got a product, I've got this all figured out, I'm sure everything's going to be fine. If you're new to selling online and you've been selling at in-person shows and now you're making that switch to online, or maybe you've tried for a long time to sell online and you haven't gotten any traction and you're not really making too many sales other than a one-off here or there, then you really need to pay attention to this training. The only people that seem to, if you're already doing well online, you're like, man, I have this product and it's kicking butt, taking names, and I'm just looking for ways to amplify this, then you already probably have a really good, strong product focus. But for everybody else, you need to pay attention to this training, bookmark it, come back to it, and cover it over and over and over again. Now, again, I do cover this basic training in the Online Sales 101, but I also have in my Handmade Sellers Club. But also in Handmade Sellers Club is my super seller system. And in the super seller system, I talk about picking a unique product focus. We go even deeper there. So this is going to be some surface level. This is going to help get you started. But with picking a unique product focus, we go even deeper. We give you even more tools and resources. Plus, you have the Handmade Sellers Club community where you can bounce the ideas off of the community and say, hey, I'm thinking about going this direction or this direction. Can you guys kind of help me figure out what makes the most sense for me? So we give you those additional resources. Plus, you can ask me directly on the call if you're going in the right direction, any ideas that you have that you're thinking you want to pursue. So that being said, I am going to answer questions on this live. So when I get to the end, I know there's going to be a bunch of people that say, hey, is this a product? Is that a product? I sell this. Is this a product? So I know there's going to be a lot of questions. I'm going to go ahead and answer them on this live. But again, the Handmade Sellers Club community is going to give you that ongoing support that you need as you're figuring out what your actual product is. Okay. All right. So let's just jump right into it. I'm going to add my dealio here. Also try to hold most questions until the end. I want to get through this presentation and not get too distracted and running off on tangents. So if you have a question, if you're like, hey, I'm not quite sure how this applies to me, wait till the end. There's going to be plenty of time for Q&A then, and I'll get your questions then. All right, let's do it. Let's just jump right into it. All right, pick a product. Now, again, the reason why picking a product is important is we want to actually bring a product to the marketplace that is going to sell and that people want to buy. A mistake that many people make when they try to sell online is they may be selling at in-person shows and they have a little bit of everything on their table. And they try to translate that over to online sales, and then they find themselves getting stuck. This is the biggest sticking point for most handmade sellers, is having that little bit of everything that they're selling and not clearly defining what their product is. Now, when I say pick a product, what I mean is to pick a product for online sales. If you are all over the place online, if you have a little bit of everything online, you're always going to struggle. Now, you can get away with it in in-person shows. So everything that I'm talking about here, I'm not saying throw away everything except this one product. You can still sell a little bit of everything in person. But when you come online, you need that one anchor for your business, that piece. I call it a piece of bait, right? That thing that you're putting out to the world. You're saying, look at me, this is what I sell, and this is what makes what I sell unique and different and special. And that draws people in versus like, hey, I'm a crafty, creative person. I sell a whole bunch of different stuff. That is a message that doesn't really resonate with people. So I'm going to be talking about some examples throughout this presentation of different members that we've had in Handmade Sellers Club and in my programs I've had in the past, and ways that we were able to narrow down and help them pick a product. And you'll see how going from just, oh, I just kind of do all of these things to being more specific really, really makes a difference. And it really puts a pin on this is what I offer. This is what I'm selling to the marketplace. So when you choose online, when you're building an online business, you need to center it around that product. Okay. And then all of the other things that you make, that can be a hobby, that can be something you sell at shows, that can be something you just piddle putz around with. But we're talking about making serious money and building a real business that makes real money. You're not going to get there selling a little bit of everything. We've tested it. We've tried it. I've had people, just straight up defy me and say, no, absolutely. I'm telling you, Allie, I can make this work. And it never works. it never ever works. But when you specify your product and use that as your bait, you can build a real business that brings in real income. So, I had this all divvied up and it did not save for some reason. Yeah, well, we're just going to show all four at one time. I specifically made this so I could scroll through it. So what is a product? What do I mean when I say you need to pick a product, that you need a specific product that you bring to the marketplace? And again, in the Super Seller System, in Handmade Sellers Club, I call this your unique product focus. All right. This is something that makes you different. And this is the specific product and what is different about this product that you bring to the marketplace. So what is a product? A product is specific. You should be able to define what it is you sell in 6 words or less. All right. So you should be able to quickly say, this is what I do, right? I help handmade sellers sell their handmade products online. Now that's not 6 words or less. So I can say something like, I show handmade sellers how to sell on Facebook. That's shorter, right? The shorter and shorter and shorter that we can get with this, the easier. I sell festival wear. I sell doilies. I sell placemats or handcrafted placemats. We can add that in there. I sell goat's milk soap. I sell soy candles. I sell Woodwick soy candles, right? So I want you all just in the comments below, and I'm not going to be reading these right now, but just as an exercise, write down what it is you sell and try to say it in 6 words or less. Now, while you're doing that, I want you to think of how do you write this that the customer can picture it in their head. So right now, we can't see your product, right? So if you say something like home decor, I may picture little figurines. Somebody else may picture a fluffy pillow. Somebody else may picture signs. Somebody else may picture a tiered tray, right? Or wreaths or swags or whatever it is. You've got to be able to say it in 6 words or less, and then I can picture what it is that you sell. If you say home decor, I cannot picture that. All right. If you sell candles, I can picture it. If you can be more specific on candles and say, I sell Woodwick soy candles, now I'm picturing a product that is probably looks like your product, right? Adding that little bit of extra information is going to allow that person to picture it in their head. If you're allowing them to use their imagination, then they're not quite sure what it is that you do. And they're not likely to want to investigate further. If it's broad and general, if it is just candles, but I don't like petroleum products in my house, and I don't like the wicks in normal candles because they have lead in them, whatever, right? Then, and you just say candles, that's not enough information for me to say, okay, well, this is for me. Okay. So as specific as you can be in those 6 words or less, so I can picture it in my head. All right. Now, the thing to remember is in most cases, there are some exceptions to this. In most cases, your product is not a process. And what I mean by that is your product is not, I sell crochet. What does that mean? What is the product? There's no product there, right? If you say I sell crocheted items, then you could be crocheting the tops on towels. You could be crocheting doilies. You could be crocheting blankets. You could be crocheting amigurumi. You could be just fill in the blank. All right. Crochet is a process, not a product. We want to really narrow this down to a product. Now, there are some exceptions, like fused glass jewelry. We're adding the process into the product itself. I see that Lana is here, and oh my gosh, Lana, right now I can't. Okay, quilling. Lana does quilling, so she does quilled art. Now that is a little bit difficult to describe. So she can say, I make art with tiny strips of paper, and finding ways to narrow that down and say that faster and quicker. But her process is a big part of her art, right? But she is still doing framed art that goes on the wall for the most part. All right. So For the most part, we want to say what the product is, and the process only gets added in if that adds that extra level of detail that the customer needs to know. On the other hand, to see what makes your product actually unique. So I see, like Missy said, I sell primitive wood signs. That helps put a vision in my head of exactly what she does. So I love that. Karen says I sell handcrafted greeting cards. I love that. Um, so Betty says I sell decoupage, shell art, and decor. I don't know what decor is. Not quite sure what shell art is, but that's decoupage. Shell art is definitely much more specific. I'm okay sometimes with being really specific on one and then doing like an and more and decor. As long as the first part of that is really, really specific. Okay. Diane says I sell handmade paracord dog accessories. That's close. I would go leashes and collars, right? I would be even more specific so that I know what it is in my head. And even if you sell other items too, find the one that is the most specific and that falls into this last category. It's something that people want, something that people shop for, something that people actually desire. So, an example that I've given for years now is if I make rubber bouncy balls, and I'm really good at making rubber bouncy balls, and I have a process where it takes me 16 hours to make a rubber bouncy ball, and I have to charge $200 for the rubber bouncy ball. Um, and I put them on my Facebook page, and nobody is actually in the market for a $200 rubber bouncy ball. It doesn't matter how skilled I am, it's not something that people want, right? Macaroni art is a craft. And any 5 or 6 year old can do macaroni art, but does that mean people actually want it and are willing to spend money on it? When we're in the online space, we're really dependent on customers leaning into us and saying, oh my gosh, I want that so bad. What we don't have the luxury of is people wandering by our table, seeing something, saying, oh, well, that's kind of cute. Maybe I'll get one of those for Sally. And it's easy enough to pull $5 out of my pocket, $20 out of my pocket, buy something for Sally, and walk along my way without thinking twice about it. When it comes to the online world, they're not just wandering past our table. They have to pick up a credit card. They have to trust that we're going to ship it to them. There's a whole process they have to go through. They have to message us. They have to click through to a website and start shopping the website and find the right product and figure out, is it the size that I really think that it is? Or so there's a lot more work that goes into buying something online than casually walking by somebody's table at a craft show, at a farmer's market, etc. So you want to make sure that you are actually bringing a product to the market that makes people go, oh, I love that. I have to have that. And that desire for the product overcomes any of the what's the word I'm looking for, the friction that comes with making the purchase, right? The desire has to be greater than the friction to buy. If I'm in person and I see something and I casually want it, there's very little friction to purchasing. But if I'm online and I see something and it's cool and it's cute and whatever, there's a lot more friction to making that purchase. I have to pull out my credit card. I have to make all of these decisions. I have to make these snap decisions. Do I trust you? Is it what I actually want? Am I wasting my money? Is it going to show up in the mail? Is it what's the shipping costs going to be? And I have to go and find that out. And I may even not purchase once I find that out. So it's got to be something that overcomes all of that friction. Okay. So you have to have something that people actually want and are going to actively, like, I like the gasp, right? I want to imagine people going, oh, I want that. I have to have that. Right. Anytime I see something that makes me gasp online, it caught my attention. Because there's a lot of wah, right? There's a lot of like, okay, that it's fine, but it's not actually something that is going to make me overcome my friction. Okay. All right. So how do you pick a product? You've got a little bit of everything, or maybe you have a process. Excuse me. Maybe you have a process and you're trying to narrow down. Maybe you're selling just that little bit of everything. You make candles, you make soap, you make wreaths, you do some crochet, and you're trying to sell it all. If you're a process, maybe you do sublimation. This is a really good example. Things like sublimation, or what's the word I'm looking for? I'm having a hard time with my words today, guys. Resin work, right? Making things in resin. There's it's almost limited, right? Etching. Let's say you etch on glass. It's almost limited the products that you can actually sell and take to the marketplace. So how do you actually narrow it down and say, okay, this is specifically the product that I'm bringing to this specific marketplace? Okay. So this is what we're going to go through here. We're going to talk about how you actually narrow it down and pick a product. Number one, look at what you're already making. You don't necessarily have to jump ship, although, if the research that I'm going to show you later may show you that you indeed should jump ship. But what are you already making? What products are you already making and taking to the marketplace? Which one of those products would you love to make more of? And here's the thing, like, oh, I enjoy it all, but which one really feeds your soul? Which one makes you think like I could make 5,000 of these and I would be just excited on number 5,000 as I am on number one? I love it so much. Maybe it's an interest that you already have. Maybe it's just a process that you really, really enjoy. What I don't want is for people to pick a product. And we actually had somebody recently in Handmade Sellers Club say this. She crochets the tops on the towels, and she's like, it sells really well, but I don't enjoy it. All right. I don't enjoy it. I want to do something more creative. I really love making this other product. So I don't want you to sell a product that you hate the process, because then why are we doing this, right? If you really hate the process, then go get a job. You're going to hate that too. And it's more consistent, it's more predictable for most people. And you don't have to have, you get paid for every hour that you work. And where with the handmade business, you go through a period of time where you're not getting paid as you're building things up. But if you're going to work for yourself and you're going to learn the marketing and you're going to go through Handmade Sellers Club and you're going to go through the super seller system and you're going to learn things that take you out of your comfort zone and get you, push you a little bit, you've got to have at least a love in what you're making. Because if you don't love what you're making and you're learning all these new difficult skills, you're going to burn out and you're going to lose energy and you're not going to enjoy this business that you're growing. And I want you to enjoy your business. So pay attention to that. What do you actually love to make? Number three, what is actually profitable? What is something that you can make that is going to make you money? So I had a client that did the solo wood flowers a couple of years ago. And she's like, oh, I really want to focus on, I can't remember which direction it was. She wanted to focus. She had smaller pieces and she had really big pieces. And I think she wanted to focus on the big pieces. But when we really broke down the numbers, she wasn't profitable on the big pieces. So they were taking a lot of time and she was making less profit than if she sold more of the smaller pieces. So you really want to look at what is actually going to make you money. You may absolutely love making X product, but when you figure it out, and we have the pricing masterclass in Handmade Sellers Club, where we teach you how to price appropriately. And we even have a calculator in there where you calculate in your currently how much you're charging for the product, what it costs you in materials, the time you spent. We calculate it all up and we'll tell you what you're making hourly currently. It's really important that you use that calculator to determine whether or not what you're selling is profitable. Because you may say, well, I sell this for $50 and that for $10. So therefore I'm more profitable on the $50. But if the thing that you're selling for $10 takes you 5 minutes to make, and the thing that you're selling for $50 takes you 5 hours to make, then the $10 product is actually more profitable. And so you're actually going to be digging yourself into a hole if you are trying to build a business around a product that is simply not profitable. So look at your product selection now. Use the calendar in Handmade Sellers Club, the pricing calculator. I said calendar, but I meant calculator. Use the pricing calculator and figure out which of your products is profitable and not. And you may be able to take an unprofitable product to profitable simply by raising the price. But you need to know that information first so that you're not putting all of your eggs in one basket and saying, okay, this is the direction I'm going, only to find out a year down the road, you're not actually profitable in that product. What is in demand? What are people actually buying? And this is where the shows can actually help you. So if you're setting up at shows and you notice this one product, people are going, oh, right? We want that reaction that, oh my gosh, this is so great. And we see them gravitating towards that one product over and over and over again. The market is giving you feedback. The market is saying this is something that we like. And if you're selling online, let's say maybe you have an Etsy shop, and on your Etsy shop, it's a certain type of product that's selling on Etsy all the time. Or maybe you're posting to your Facebook page and you'll post like all 10 of your products. But when you post this one, you tend to get at least 1 or 2 interests in it, right? And if you're in the Handmade Sellers Club, you can definitely use the quick cash method to determine demand. You go out and you use the method in the different groups, and the ones that you get positive response and requests for purchase, that is the market saying, yes, this is the sort of thing that I like. This is what we're willing to overcome friction to buy. Okay. So online feedback is going to be more valuable than in-person feedback, but your in-person feedback is going to be helpful as well. Okay. And then what is specific? What can you say? This is the specific thing that I'm selling. So let's talk about a couple of examples of clients that I have that went from a little bit broader to more specific. So let's talk about Brian. Brian, when I first met Brian was doing woodworking, and he was setting up at all the shows, right? He was going to every single show that was possible on the planet. He was often doing 2-3 shows a week, and barely had time to make his product. And he was making wall hangings and little pieces of, like, I think he had like real small pieces of like furniture and such. And then he also had cribbage boards. And so when he came to me, he was like, hey, I want to sell online. I'm selling all of these different products. How do I get more people to purchase? And when I say Brian sold woodworking, what does that make you guys think in your head he's actually doing? Because there's a million different things that can fall under woodworking. And so if you're going to go online and draw people to you and say, I do woodworking, it's very general. It's not even specific what kind of woodworking. Like you could say, I make wooden tables, right? Now that's specific. And so we talked about that and how, when he comes to the online space, he's got to quickly show people exactly what it is that he sells, so that those who are super interested in it lean in and follow him and buy from him, and those who are not interested can lean back and not follow, because we want the right people to follow us. And so when I say, if you're online and somebody finds your page and it says woodworking, now they have to investigate, right? We're adding all this friction. They have to investigate and figure out whether or not the woodworking that you're selling, if there's anything in there that they want. Now, when I listed out the things that he sold, I'm sure some of you heard that really specific term of cribbage boards. It was wall hangings, small furniture, and cribbage boards. Cribbage boards is so specific. So he could have gone the route of wall hangings. He could have said, I make wall hangings. But wall hangings, who's your audience for wall hangings? Well, it can be anybody. Well, if it's anybody, it's nobody, right? There's nothing even really specifically different or unique about his wall hangings, except that he does electrify his pieces. He does hook it up to a battery, and it runs, electricity through his pieces. And that's cool, but it's really difficult to describe that to somebody, right? So when we talked, I said, man, cribbage boards is what stood out for me. And I didn't even know what cribbage was at the time. I since then have one of Brian's cribbage boards. He gifted one to me, actually, and I bought one for my mom's significant other. And I've played cribbage since then. But for somebody who here knows what cribbage is, who here has ever heard of the game cribbage, and who played cribbage with their grandparents when they grew up? For people who know what cribbage is, they're big fans of it, right? They tend to be obsessed, and they also tend to collect boards. Now we're getting really specific about, this is the product and this is the market that I sell this product to. We can very clearly identify who our market is. All right. We're being really specific with, this is my market and this is the specific product that I have for my market. Now, some of you aren't going to have that specific of a market, but you need to be specific one way or another, right? So my daughter Willow, we'll go on to that example. She did resin work. She learned how to cast things in resin. And as you know, if you're in the resin world, and this is true like 3D printing, you can make pretty much anything that you want to make on a 3D printer or in resin or sublimated, right? So you can make just about anything. And instead of just making a broad range and following every bright, shiny object and new trend that was popping up, etc., she decided to make specifically dice for people who play D&D or any other tabletop role-playing game. So D&D's Dungeons and Dragons, getting really, really popular, gaining popularity. And so she made a specific product, and even the style of dice that she made was very specific to her. But she made a specific product for a specific audience. And so instead of making a little bit of everything, she did that. And she would sell out of everything that she made, right? She would do shop updates where she wouldn't put anything on her website until she was ready to sell. She'd put it all on her website, announce it to her Instagram following. They'd all rush in and buy. And within 24 hours, she'd maybe have 1 or 2 sets left. And she's even had sales where she made $8,000 in sales in 72 hours. That doesn't happen with a little bit of everything. That doesn't happen with, but I have the molds for this, and it'd be really cool to make dominoes too, and it'd be really cool to make, whatever the newest thing in resin is, right? She was very specific. Another one of my clients, Michelle, I'm not sure if Michelle is on today. Michelle came to me and she's like, I make all of these things. She had amigurumi, she had shawls, she had dishcloths, and she had doilies. And I said, Michelle, what is it that you really, really love to do? Because those are all processes. Each one of those is a product, but you're trying to sell all of these products at the same time. And that's just not going to work for you online. And she said doilies. Like she was so quick to say, just doilies. I want to make doilies. That's all I want to do is these old timey doilies. And she even uses patterns from the late 1800s, early 1900s. She uses those patterns to make her doilies. She makes her own patterns on some. And I said, then be the doily lady, right? Be specific to what it is that be specific about your product. Tell the world who it is, who you are, and what you sell. And she has grown her business significantly online. I was even surprised by her numbers. I don't want to share her exact numbers here, but I thought she was making one number. I thought, okay, yeah, that's pretty good. But she was making 3 to 4 times more than what I thought she was making online, just because she specified down into doilies. I have yet to find anybody doing anywhere near the numbers she's doing that's selling a little bit of everything. Okay. By narrowing down, she was able to attract the exact right audience for what she wanted. And you could even say maybe her product wasn't so much in demand. So sometimes there's a box that we're not checking here. In demand is going to help, but she made it in demand by her followers just loving her so much. She goes Facebook Live. She has a love of doilies that resonates outside of her, and it attracts the exact, even though it's a really small market, all the right people are attracted to her, and they come in, and those that maybe never had a need for a doily all of a sudden need a doily because that's what Michelle has. Okay. All right. So how can we do research to figure out if our product is marketable, if we're picking the right product? How do we know outside of our own research, right? So we definitely want to do pay attention to what sells at the shows, pay attention to what people are buying from us. But maybe you're brand new, you haven't sold a thing, and you're trying to pick a good product to start a handmade business with. Michelle says everyone needs a doily. Yes, they do, Michelle. Everybody needs a doily. You have converted me. You've convinced me. So you don't actually have to sell on Etsy to do this research, right? We're just going to use it as a research tool. What you're going to do is you're going to actually, so take your unique product focus or that 6 words, right? And type it into Etsy and see whether or not it shows one kind of product. This is going to be a really good test if you have a unique product focus. If you type into Etsy home decor, you're going to see lots of different kinds of products. But if you say rustic farmhouse signs and you type that into Etsy, you're going to see consistently the results that the results are going to show the same kind of product. Everybody's going to have their own little style, right? But that is going to let you know that that is a unique product focus, right? There's only one product that can be defined by rustic farmhouse signs. If you say rustic farmhouse decor, we're getting a little too broad. All right. Now you could still try that. You're at least being more specific than home decor, but it is going to be a little bit more difficult. We want to try to really bring it down to what is that product. Is your product idea popular? Are there a lot of other people selling it? Now, this can be a double-edged sword. Sometimes a lot of other people selling it means it's oversaturated, although as long as the market is still buying it, it doesn't matter if it's oversaturated. It's when they stop buying altogether and people are still making that thing. And I was just talking the other night about how tumblers might be on the edge of this, right? A lot of people doing it. Are they as popular? Like custom tumblers, people only need so many tumblers, right? We've got 8 tumblers at our house right now. I just don't, it would have to be something really special for me to buy a tumbler again. So is your product idea popular? Are there a lot of people selling it? Now, when we first started our rabbit toy business, not a lot of other people were selling it, but we knew that rabbits really enjoyed it. So we had to go into the market blind a little bit and say, all right, will people actually buy this? Because we didn't have a lot of data. All we knew is there were a handful of rabbit rescue organizations around the country that were selling a handful of products. And we reached out to those rescues and said, if we sold you products at wholesale, would you buy them to resell? And we had a really great response. So that helped give us the encouragement that we were on the right path, that the rescue organizations really were, they were hungry for product. There just was nobody out there making anything like what we did. So if there's nothing like your product out there, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's a bad thing. But you are going to have to just do that additional resource or research and test the product market yourself, and see if people will buy your unique idea before you go all in. And again, that's what our quick cash method does. If you're a Handmade Sellers Club member, you can use the quick cash method to take your product out into the marketplace, even if you have 0 followers, and just see, is this a good idea? Will people actually, buy it? Because friends and family can say, oh, that's a great idea, you should sell that. But unless they're laying down money and saying, I need to have that, that's not really good market research. Is your product idea selling? So again, if it's popular, but not a lot of sales are happening, then it may be falling off a cliff. If it is maybe it's somewhere in the middle, right? Like, oh, there's a decent amount of products here, but it's not like super oversaturated. Like jewelry is oversaturated. But guess what? People still buy jewelry. They still buy jewelry all the time. It's something that they can buy many pieces of. It doesn't take up that much room in their house. And we know that people are still buying jewelry. You just have to be more competitive than your competitors, right? You need to have better marketing than your competitors. Soaps are still selling. People are still buying soaps, and especially with something like that, where the product is, you know, you have to buy it again every single month or every couple of months. I don't know how fast people go through soap. Like I don't. It depends on your family size and all that. If as long as you can see that there are actually sales happening for that product. Now, let's say we found rabbit toys and we found a bunch of different sellers for rabbit toys, but all of them had very few sales on Etsy, then that would be kind of a red flag. Like, all right, there's a lot of people out here doing this, but it doesn't really seem that any one of them is getting anything significant in sales. So keep that in mind as well. And then obviously, is your idea profitable? We already covered that. What I do want to mention here as well is that if there are products in your category that are selling, there are certain sellers that are selling. There are probably also sellers that are not selling very well. It is in your best interest to figure out the difference between the two. So just because you can find a seller that's doing really well on Etsy and like, yeah, this is selling, or even like a dozen or so sellers that are selling really well, that does not mean automatically your idea is going to sell well. Some of the differences can be the quality of product being produced. It can be in the pricing. They may be selling really well, but not profitable, right? If you look at it and say, I couldn't possibly sell it at that price, I'd never be profitable, and those are the only ones that are selling or at that price, that's just more data for you to consider before you decide going in that direction. How are their pictures, right? So I can guarantee you that a seller that has a fantastic product photo on Etsy is selling more than somebody who has a dark and dingy product photo. Okay. Are there unique twists that they're putting on it that other people aren't? You know, are they, maybe you're selling embroidered towels and you can see, well, that seller's selling embroidered towels as well, and they're doing great. But are they doing like Mr. and Mrs. towels for like a honeymoon? Are they doing towels with dragons on them, right? Are they bringing something else unique and different to the marketplace? So you can say, yeah, embroidered towels are doing well. Look at all these people selling embroidered towels. And then you go out and you make the most basic, boring snooze fest towels on the planet. And I'm just using towels as an example here. If you make the most basic product on the planet, then that doesn't mean you're going to sell like the people who put their unique spin on it. So when you're doing this research on Etsy, look to see what people are really responding to. And that can help you kind of discover these different niches that you could potentially sell in. So I was talking about Willow doing D&D dice for out of resin. You could make hand towels for people who play D&D, right? We're not doing anything that's copyright. I'm not encouraging any of that, but you can have like fantasy scenes and dragons and the shape of dice on there. And there's just a ton of different ideas where you can take what would normally be kind of maybe a saturated product and something that a lot of people do in a boring way. And you can take that boring thing and make it interesting. Same with jewelry. You could make jewelry that's for, and I'm going to use D&D here, but this is just one example. You can make jewelry for people who play D&D. You make soap. You could make soap for people who play D&D. Make candles. You can make candles for people who play D&D. And there are people out there and they sell a lot of candles. There's one person who sells candles inspired by characters of a single anime. And they were crushing it. My kids probably bought, I don't even want to say how many. It's at least 20 different candles that they've bought. Do they burn them? No, but they had to have them because the candles were based around these characters from this one anime show. It's a pretty popular show, but and again, I don't believe that what she did any copyright infringement. She just inspired, each candle was inspired by that character, and she told that story of how that product was inspired by that character. Excuse me. There's a lady out there, not one of my clients, although I would love her to be one of my clients, who sells custom chocolate bars, but she makes the chocolate bars based on classic books. I've bought from her. I bought her Sherlock Holmes, and I think I bought the Pride and Prejudice one. And so she reads like, what kind of tea does Sherlock Holmes drink? He drinks Earl Grey tea with, or maybe it's even Watson that drinks the tea. I don't know, with like honey and whatever. And so she made a chocolate bar based on that book, or one of those books. So how can you take your everyday item and actually take it in a direction where you're serving a very specific market with that everyday item? We had a lady years ago that did pickleball accessories. Now, I hate the word accessories, but she totally got away with it because pickleball was such a strong niche, and everything she did was for people who play pickleball. She did not make things for people who play baseball, basketball. She didn't make special little like keychains for dogs. She did like hats, keychains, and like bags. I think she did mostly embroidering, but I can't remember for sure. It's been a few years now. But she had all of these like accessories that somebody could buy just for playing pickleball. Like that's it. They're just going to go play pickleball. And she only sold to people who played pickleball. Now that's something that you can't go into the store, and maybe now you can, but back then, especially, you couldn't just walk into a store and say, and buy a pickleball keychain. Any group of people that would buy a keychain to represent their fandom or their interest or their hobby is a great market to sell to. All right. So what do you do from here? I want you to write down several products you would be interested in selling. Based on these criteria, what are some things that you think, like, I think these things are definitely in the running. I enjoy making them. They're profitable. I enjoy making them. They're profitable. They're in demand. People seem to like them. I just can't pick which one of these. And then start doing some research on Etsy. Mark down your stats from your shows. Use the quick cash method. If you're a Handmade Sellers Club member, use the quick cash method to go out there and test your market or test your product in the market. Do some research and actually gather some data to help you make a more educated decision. And if you're in Handmade Sellers Club, definitely come to the group. Either ask me on my Q&A calls that I do throughout the month, or just post in the group and say, I have this idea. I'm not sure if it has legs. And I'm there, and Willow's there. My team is there to help, and everybody else in the community. There's some people there that are in Handmade Sellers Club that are really bright, have been doing this for years. They've seen a lot of people come through the program and have helped a lot of people. And we can help you say, that's not really clicking for me. Because what may make sense for you might not make sense for me, simply because you're in the jar, right? You are in your business. If you say, I do home decor, you're picturing in your head exactly what it is you mean. But I don't know what you mean, all right? I'm not picturing it in my head. So this is a great way to get that just step back outside perspective of, is this hooky enough? Is there a hook to my product that makes even the people in Handmade Sellers Club lean in and say, ooh, that's a good idea. That's interesting. And if you're a little off the track, we can help get you back on that track. All right, cool, guys. That is all I have for you today. I am more than happy to answer questions at this time. Hopefully that gets the wheels turning and makes you start thinking about how to pick that unique product focus for yourself. It is, again, it's really important. I call this a little hinge that swings a big door. You can do all the right things when it comes to online marketing. You can have highly engaging posts. You can have a beautiful looking page. You could be attracting followers to your page. You'd be doing all of those things correctly. But if you don't have this part right, you're going to really struggle to make sales. And that's why I start with this, right? We start with picking that right product, because without it, you're just you're doing a lot of work and not getting anywhere. And I don't want that for you. I don't want you spinning your wheels, not getting anywhere. I want to see you actually make real progress in your business and make real money in your business. I want you to make real money that pays real bills. That takes you on vacations, that you can buy furniture with, whatever it is you want your money for, whatever reason is your big why of why you're starting this business. I want to help you achieve it. But if you insist on holding on to this broad product category and not niching down and finding that specific product, then you're going to really struggle with online sales. I had a couple of people the other day ask me like, oh, will your system work with this product or that product? And what I told them, I said, if your product is marketable, my system's going to work. But if you're coming in with a product that nobody wants, if you're coming in with a product that is just not something people pay money for, maybe they think it looks really cool, but they're not willing to pay money for it, then all the good marketing in the world is not going to breathe life into a product that the market itself does not want and is not responding to. Diana says, since you said not to use the process, should I include laser cut in my titles? What is your product? Remind me what your product is. So some things don't matter to the audience, right? So laser cut may or may not, laser cut may or may not add that additional value. So if I say I sell festival wear, but then I say crocheted festival wear, that's adding extra value and it's helping me define better what that product is. If you say laser cut, I don't know. Do I care that it's laser? Do I care what tools you're using? It's almost like saying I sell jewelry with that I use pliers on. You know what I mean? If it's not important that you use pliers, like I don't need to know every tool that you use. I want the product. And that's where a lot of you guys get kind of caught up in your process so much that you assume that that is the value. Got to look at it from the customer's point of view. What do they think is valuable? What are they placing value on? Fused glass jewelry we put in there because it's got the word glass. Fused is a really interesting word, fused glass jewelry. It does help us kind of start to visualize what the product is. If you know what fused glass jewelry is, you instantly know what it is. If you don't know what it is, it's at least glass jewelry, which is different than regular jewelry, right? And that can be a curiosity item to bring me in. But we have people come through the program and a lot of them will say beaded jewelry. And that's fine, except like a lot of jewelry has beads. Like, I'm not sure that that's differentiating enough. It can help, but we need extra adjectives to help us figure out what that product actually is. So is the laser cut actually adding value to me as a customer? And if I go, oh, wow, and it's laser cut, not sure. People who make, we have a member of Handmade Sellers Club that makes napkin holders. And she uses, I don't know, a laser or something. I couldn't tell you what tool that she uses. She doesn't say like laser cut napkin holders because I don't care. She sells metal napkin holders. Now that's the distinction, that this isn't, ceramic. It's not plastic. It's made out of metal. So I get more of a sense of what it is I'm getting. I don't know if it's Shell or Shelly says, Allie, I create custom made party favors. Too broad. What is party favors? I don't know what party favors are. I can't like visualize a party favor. So if you can be more specific, I would be more specific. What are the most common party favors that people are actively seeking out? And again, it doesn't mean that you can never sell any of the other party favors, but at least we're leading with the main party favor, right? And we're building our business around the thing that people are really looking for and trying to like trying to get most excited about. Harvey says, I'm researching some black granite to do laser engraved personalized memorials. Do I need to specify the memorials? Pets, people? I mean, if it's a pet memorial, I would definitely add pet in there. I would add the word granite into that, right? So laser graved personalized granite memorials, I would definitely put that word in there because that brings a whole different vision in my head than just a memorial, because I've seen glass memorials, right? I've seen metal memorials. So if you're going to do granite, then I would be really, really specific that this is a specific thing. I don't even know that you have to have laser engraved. So you could do personalized granite pet memorials. That may be better than laser engraved, because why do I care that it has a laser? The laser is to personalize it. That's a tool you use to personalize it. I'm not sure that I need laser engraved there to be specific. Diana says ornamental laser cut sun catchers. Yeah, I don't need laser cut there. Ornamental sun catchers. Is there anything else about that? Are they metal sun catchers? Like, I'm not, is there something else? So sun catchers are all ornamental, right? Like a sun catcher is just something. So give me more about your sun catcher. The laser cut doesn't tell me anything other than maybe that it's made out of metal, but you can just tell me that they're metal sun catchers. But if you had a more specific way of defining what the sun catcher is, I think that would do better. Linda says, could I do holiday decor? Everybody think in your head, what is holiday decor? And I think everybody's going to think of something different. For me, I think of the things that go on a Christmas tree. Now, maybe that's Christmas tree decor, but that's where my head goes because that's how we decorate for the holiday. For somebody else, it may be like shelf leaners. For somebody else, it may be like mantelpieces. For somebody else, it may be wreaths. It may be, what is it? What is it? It may be items for a tiered tray. It could be almost anything. Holiday decor could be it could be pillows. It could be blankets. It could be all of those things are part of holiday decor. So no, be specific. Be specific. Priscilla said, this is so helpful. I'm so glad. Linda said she is so wise. Thank you. I hope you were talking about me. Betty says, how about original shell art trinket holders? Are you using any specific kind of shell? I know a lot of people in the Northeast use those, begins with a Q, those shells. That would help. My big thing about original shell art trinket holders is I would look at demand, like how many people are looking for just something to hold trinkets in. I don't like the word original, so I would original. Everything's original, right? Everything's so original that original means nothing. Shell art trinket holders, maybe. Do a search on Etsy and start doing your research there. Victoria says, I'd love to crochet blankets mainly with my hats, and yes, make sets for babies, but only gift them because I don't think they'll sell at what the shipping would need to be. What do I do for this? So with blankets, it's not so much the shipping cost. It's going to be the cost of the blanket because of how much time you put into it. So you can, baby blankets are better than like full on Afghans. And there are some people that are really quick about blankets and they can charge what they need to. The chunky yarn blankets are doing really well because they don't take as much time as like a crocheted blanket. So keep that in mind. You can't always get that full price that you would want. You'd have to have something extraordinarily special. So if you do like the hats, you can do sets for a baby hat and, blanket and hat sets. Again, you're going to have to attract the right audience, one of the things that I'm always careful about selling something like things just for babies or things just for weddings, is people tend to buy it that one time and not need to buy it again. Now, if you find a grandma that's having lots of babies being born, or like an aunt that's like got lots of babies being born around her and she likes your product, then she's going to buy more of them. But yeah, I would do some research on it and check and double check and make sure that you're profitable though. The blankets are going to be the key to whether or not you're profitable. I'm sure you can sell baby hats. But even then, make something amazing. If I'm scrolling through the feed, if you're going to get over the traction, it can't just be a pink hat. Again, I'm not saying that you are or aren't. Make something that like looks like it's meant for an adult, but it's for a baby. Make something that has funny faces, or it's got to be something crazy. It's got to be something either really elegant, really out there, really different, really unique. It's got to be something that the colors have to be just like it draws everybody in and they're like, oh my gosh, look at the colors on that. It's got to be something like that, because if it's not, it's too easy to just scroll past a pink or a blue baby hat. Be different. Let's see. Washable cotton grocery bags. So I like that. I like it. And I even like washable too, because it makes me think, oh yeah, I could just throw them in the wash. I like that. I would look at how in demand is it. We have had people try to do grocery bags in the past, reusable grocery bags. And the thing is there are just so many places that are either for really cheap selling these reusable bags or just giving away reusable bags. And then people already have reusable bags that are already going to have them. So we have our set of reusable bags and we just continue to use that set. Now, that doesn't mean I can't add to it, but double check the market on that and make sure that you're profitable, because I may be able to pay, I'm willing to pay more for a tote that I'm like going to walk around and show off to the world than I am something that I'm just throwing my vegetables in at the grocery store. So just make sure you're profitable on it. Got some thank yous. You're welcome. Lori says, I may enjoy making women's handbags, clutches, wristlets, and wallets made of cotton or faux leather. So I would pick one of those and, like women's, find the one that you sell the most. So if you sell more wristlets than anything else, then lead with wristlets and make 80% of your content on your page about wristlets. If you find that you sell faux leather more than anything else, and faux leather wristlets are the ones, then that's what you say, right? Faux leather wristlets. That's going to attract. So you're taking the thing that the market is already telling you that this is the best thing that you have, and putting that out as bait, and then selling more and more of those. And then you can add in some of the other ones. Like I said, I have an 80-20 rule here. 80% that main focus, 20% some of the other things. If you don't know which one of these things is the most popular, I would do research on both handbags, clutches, and wristlets, just to see if you can find some feedback on Facebook or on Etsy on what is selling the most. And excuse me. And wallets. I missed wallets there. So I would research each one of those and then I would test those. I'm not sure if you're in Handmade Sellers Club, but if you are, definitely use the quick cash method to go out and test them in different places. And then also like test that between the cotton and the faux leather. So you've got 4 different products with 2. Cotton is not that unique. I wouldn't lead with cotton. If cotton is your most popular, I would just say like handmade wristlets or something like that. The faux leather has that extra level of like elegance and chicness that's different than making something in cotton, right? So I would, if faux leather is the winner, I would lead with faux leather. If it's cotton, I would probably leave that qualifier off. We had a guy years ago that joined Handmade Sellers Club, and he was selling soap, and he was like, I use let's just say it was canola oil. It wasn't canola oil. It was just like one of the most, or soybean oil. I don't know. It was one of the most like mundane oils on the planet. And he was like, "Oh, I'm going to tell everybody I sell soybean oil soaps." And I'm like, "Does anybody want that?" Right? So we buy goat's milk soap because, well, one, it sounds interesting, but two, people tend to understand that it's like a more moisturizing, softer lather, whatever. There are soaps that are made out of silk that leave your like actual silk proteins, and they leave your skin smoother. I had a client once that made donkey milk soap, and that was just like the novelty of it. Like, donkey milk soap, that's crazy. And I absolutely love that business. So I have all of, all of those things are things that people can understand why that is the shea butter, right? Like, they understand cocoa butter, even like they understand how that's going to help them in their skin. And then this guy's just like, yeah, soybean oil or whatever it was. It wasn't soybean oil. I can't remember the oil, but it was just like, and what does that oil do? Oh, well, it's just the oil I use. It's not like, you can continue to use that oil, but you've got to find something else special about your product. So that's what I would say about the cotton. It's kind of like, find something else special about your product. But the faux leather is something that's more like a silk or, goat's milk. It does add value. Victoria says, "Oh, I didn't think about it. It'd be a one-time sale. Thanks for your help and insight." You're welcome. And again, it's not necessarily so. You can find those rich veins. But I tend to avoid things that are a one. If you're on Etsy, those one-offs are great because people will go to Etsy and buy like the his and hers things for a wedding. But if you attract somebody to your page and build a relationship with them and sell them one thing for their wedding, and that's your main focus, and they don't have other things that they can buy from you, they become just that one purchase. But then if you start adding other things, then you've lost your focus of you're the place to go for this, like honeymoon stuff. I mean, you could have a separate page where you send people over, but and it's the same with babies. Like, if grandma's going to buy the hat and the blanket set for the baby, then maybe they're buying that for every baby that comes into the family, but maybe they want something different for every baby. Like, you've got that potential of it just being the one sale because it's something that doesn't happen. At least babies happen more often than marriages. So, I mean, I think it's more possibility for repeat buys than a wedding gift or like a specific like wedding type of item is. But I would still be mindful of that. Let's see. Diane says, "I tested leashes and collars in my group. I got 2 orders with 51 followers. I love making these and they're fast to make. Should I do them as 80/20 and my dog shadow boxes?" Diane, 2 different products, 2 different pages. 2 different products, 2 different pages. I would not mix them on the same page. They're technically to the same market. Let me put it this way. If you want to do the leashes and the collars, focus 100% on that right now. And when you build a really great audience that loves you and thinks that you're amazing, every once in a while, bring those shadow boxes out and do like a live sale or do like a full live of like, "Hey, you guys know me for my leashes and my collars, but I also do these shadow boxes." The only reason I say it that way is we got to have a really consistent message on your page. And the leashes and collars are just, they're just too different than a shadow box. And the two, even though it's the same audience, the two are very different visually, and you're going to mush up the message of your business. if you do the dogs, leashes, and collars only and really build that strong connection with them, with your audience, and then you bring in the shadow boxes now and again, you'll be fine. But you wait on the shadow boxes and you make that an event once you have that strong following. Now, you can continue to do shadow boxes with the quick cash method if you want. You could just sell them that way if you want. In fact, I think there's a really good strategy that we're going to talk about for quick cash method that I think could work really, really well for you. That I may be talking about in Handmade Sellers Club coming up here. Carrie says, I've been thinking about 2 different pages, one for the painted jewelry and one for the fluid art pieces themselves as a test. Thoughts? You could go 80-20. If you feel like maybe you're getting more interest for the art pieces, that they deserve their own page, it's worth a shot. But again, remember, you're going to split yourself. And this is true for anybody who ends up doing 2 pages. If you do 2 pages, you're going to split yourself. You're going to split your energy. And when you do that, one is going to come out as a winner. So you got to be okay with the idea that one may do well and the other one, and by doing well, like there is a trap. It's a trap. There is a trap in selling a few items of something. And that trap is, I sold a few, I could build this into selling a whole lot of it. And it's a trap because if all you're ever going to do is accomplish that trickle, the amount of energy and time that you're putting into maintaining that trickle is not worth taking that time and energy away from the thing that can actually build big and get, a lot more sales. I have a friend that's having this issue right now, totally different business. He has 2 businesses. One, he charges $3,000 a month. It's really easy to get a client. They get them amazing results. The clients get it. It's a no-brainer. The other one is $300 a month. The clients don't really get it. They take a lot of convincing. It takes a month to set them up. And it just takes a lot more effort to convince somebody to buy. And so which one of those 2 should he pick? What do you guys think? Which one of those 2 should he pick? The one that's easy to sell and makes him $3,000 a month, or the one that's much more difficult to sell, takes a lot more energy to set up, and brings in $300 a month? Which one? Which one should he pursue? Now, to me, the answer is quite easy. $3,000 easy sale, right? Completely ignore, shut down the program that's $300 a month difficult sale. And yet it's him and his business partner. They can't do it. They see the potential but we could sell more of these. We could. And they keep trying to split up. And I keep telling them, no, just ignore that. Just pretend that doesn't exist. That $300 a month and getting a lead here and there of somebody saying, what is this? I might be interested in learning more, is keeping it's keeping the possibility of this other business alive. And it's keeping them focused on the potential of this other business, where they should just shut it down, right? I encourage them to sell it. I'm like, just sell the whole thing. Get rid of the whole thing. Sell it off to somebody else so you never have to think about it again. And yet they can't, because that little bit, oh, look, it could really be something. Yeah, but this other thing could make you a millionaire within a year. Like they've just started in this market. I don't want to say just started. They've actually been kind of playing in this market for a while, but they really dialed in their system, and it's giving phenomenal results. The price point is a drop in the bucket for these guys that they're selling to. The price point of the other program is a big investment for those people, right? And like all the signs are saying, drop this, do this, but they can't because they're stuck in that trap. And I don't want you guys stuck in that trap either. Just because you could make another product, just because you could make another page, just because you could expand doesn't mean you should. And some of that comes from this limiting thinking of like, well, I'm selling X product and I'm not making enough sales in X product. So therefore I need to bring in Y product. And that's going to make up for the sales I'm not making in X product. If X product's a good product, if it's profitable, in demand, and all you're missing is really that marketing piece of really dialing in your Facebook posts, doing the Facebook page makeover, all of this stuff that I teach in Handmade Sellers Club that's in the Super Seller System. When you dial all of that in, your sales go like this, right? And you don't need that other thing to supplement. So there's the two traps, right? There's the potential this could be a great idea, and I can't let it die because I want to like feel good about this great idea. And then there's the fear of, well, if I drop these other things, how am I going to make enough money? One of my favorite analogies of this, it was years ago. You guys that have been around for a while have heard me say this before. Years ago, there was this movie. I couldn't even tell you the name of the movie. Maybe this movie was a fever dream. I don't know. I think I watched it once when I was a kid. And, but I remember this kid was doing BMX bikes and he wanted to do a flip on a bike, and he was about to compete and he had to do this flip and he hadn't perfected it yet. And he kept trying to flip and trying to flip and trying to flip. And every time when he would go up the ramp, try to flip, he would land on the mattress. And finally, the coach said, you know what I think it is? I think the mattress is in the way. It's not allowing you to complete your flip and it's making you wipe out. We need to move the mattress. And the kid's like, are you crazy? If you move the mattress, I'm going to fall on the, I'm going to fall. I'm going to hurt myself. I'm going to fall on the plywood. And he's like, yeah, I think we really need to give it a try. So the first time he tries, he falls on his back. It hurts. His coach is like, you overflipped that time. And the kid's like, yeah, but I hurt myself. He goes, now try it again. And he goes up, tries again, boom, nails the flip. After trying for days to nail this flip, once the mattress was gone, once the safety was gone, he was able to actually complete it. And that mattress is those other products that you're trying to hold on to, that additional page you're trying to create, that thing you just can't let go of, that security blanket that's making you feel safer somehow. You got to let that go, because the second you let that go and all that energy you were putting into maintaining that security goes into actually building the real business, then you can fly. Then you can take off. Then you can see the sort of success that you need to in the business that you have. I'm sure Brian years ago would have said, I can't survive on cribbage boards. I don't remember if he said that to me or not, but he had a wide variety of things. And I do remember him saying, yeah, but at the shows, I do sell other things other than cribbage boards. I'm like, yeah, cool. Sell only cribbage boards. And it just was like, but people are buying the other things. And if I stop selling the other things, then I'm only going to make the money that I'm currently making from cribbage boards. And I'm not going to be making that other money, which means I'm not going to be making a lot of money. But it turns out when you focus, when you specialize, when you have that unique product focus, you sell more. So he was able to double his price and sell more by focusing in on cribbage boards. And he's self-employed 100%. He's totally paying all of his bills with the money he makes from his cribbage board business. Same with, I did an interview, I think last year with Dawn with the Worry Pets, and she talked about going to the different shows and this is true online. She had already focused online, but she was doing the shows and bringing all of these different sensory products that she was making. Cause I told her you could do that at the shows if you want to, but online focus on Worry Pets. And the one week it was going to be rainy. She didn't know if she was going to be able to set up the entire time. So she just brought the tote of Worry Pets. Just the Worry Pets, and set out the Worry Pets. And she said, wouldn't you know it, I sold more Worry Pets than I've ever sold before, because that's all that was on the table. She made more money. She sold, not just made up for the product, for the other items, but she sold more than, right? Specializing in it feels so counterintuitive. I have to have a broad product category or I have to have a broad selection of products in order to talk to all the different segments of the market. It just doesn't work that way. Walmart can get away with that. You can't get away with that. You've got to specialize in. You got to do the thing that Walmart can't. You can't compete with Walmart on prices. You can't compete with Walmart on selection. So do the opposite, charge more, narrow in, and you're going to have a lot better successful business. Let's see. Betty said, if I wanted to consider changing my focus, would I need to test out another product? Yes. And would you test that on your current page? Potentially. If you're a Handmade Sellers Club member, rather than testing it on your page, one, do the research I talked about here in Etsy, but use the quick cash method to do some research. Take it out to people. Take all these random pieces and test it with the quick cash method, and that's going to give you better results. Carol says, I would like to know if testing it up, that was the one I just read. Carrie said, I like the 80-20 concept until I see more traction at shows and consignment for the art pieces. Thank you. Always appreciate your insights. The jewelry comes from the art projects, so still pondering how to work it all together. Yeah, so the jewelry is the sawdust, right? It's how you're reusing the offal of the art project. Sometimes the sawdust sells more than the item itself. And in that case, it just may take a pivot. Brian says, now I only sell cribbage boards online. And when I'm at show, I sell basically only cribbage boards and laser engraved pegs for cribbage boards with maybe 10 designs of wall hangings. And I definitely make my money on my cribbage boards. That's that. There it is, guys. Mic drop. Like that's, who knew, right? Who knew that you can make your money just selling a single product focus? But you really can. We did this with our business. I'm going to leave you with this last story and then we'll wrap up here. When we first started making the rabbit toys, we didn't make rabbit toys. We made small pet toys. And you would think, well, that's definitely niche down. And it was not niche down far enough. We said, these toys are great for your parrot, your rabbit, your chinchilla, your gerbil, your daegu, your hamster, your guinea pig. Like we were like, oh, everybody who has a pet like this can use our products. And when we tried to sell our products that way, it's one of the things I learned in that first marketing book that I read years ago, Multiple Streams of Internet Income, was to niche down. That's one of the lessons I learned from that book. And so we were trying to sell to everybody, and nothing was working. And so we scrapped it all. We noticed that it was rabbit people that were buying more, but we were also selling quite a bit of chinchilla toys. So we split it up and we tried 2 different markets at the same time. We did rabbits and we did chinchillas. So we had rabbit toys and chinchilla toys, the exact same toys, 2 different websites. We didn't have Facebook, 2 different because it was 2003, 4. There was no Facebook. So we had rabbit toys and chinchilla toys, and we just paid attention to the winners, right? We were selling more products with rabbit toys than we were with the chinchilla toys. So after a year or 2, probably took us too long to make the decision. Actually, we kept the chinchilla toy site for a while because it really didn't take any work. And if people found it and they purchased, and it didn't cost us that much to maintain it. So we just kind of kept it out there. We did have a guy that was doing some reselling for us on the chinchilla toys. So we just kind of kept it. But I put no energy into chinchilla after the first year or so because my sales were coming through the rabbit toy page. So why keep up the chinchilla side of things? Why put any energy over there at all when the market is telling me this is what we want? Put all of your focus here because this is the thing that they're actually willing to spend money on. And so we eventually dropped the chinchilla stuff and we changed our name. We called it Happy Rabbit Toys, and we focused 100% on rabbits. So when I say that, my husband and I sell rabbit toys, and we started back in 2001, that's mostly true. But it took us a while. Like we started making toys for small pets in 2001, but it took us a while to realize, and I don't want it to take so long for you, and I don't want you to get stuck in that trap, right? But we can sell chinchilla toys. Like it just wasn't working. But parrots can play with this. So why can't we sell it to parrots too? Because then we're not talking to anybody specific in the market. When rabbit owners came to our page, they saw safety information about rabbits and our toys. They saw pictures of rabbits playing with our toys. They saw the name of the page was House Happy Rabbit Toys. They saw the names of the products had the word rabbit in it and were rabbit themed. They said, this is for us. This is for us as rabbit owners. This is for us. And we were able to absolutely dominate that space for a good decade, where we dominated that space because we focused in on rabbits. All right, guys, thank you so much. Oh, Brian said cribbage is definitely a regional thing, and I made 57K last year. Great job, Brian. That makes me so happy. You've done such an amazing job. You are awesome. Lori, great question. Good segue. How do I find out more about the quick cash method? Do I need to join Handmade Sellers Club? Yes. I only share the quick cash method in Handmade Sellers Club because with great power comes great responsibility. I don't want it out there floating on the internet and making it less effective for those that are using it. But if you take even just the trial of Handmade Sellers Club, you will get access to the quick cash method. So I'm going to drop the link for trial here. You can get a 2-week trial to Handmade Sellers Club for only $7. After that, it's only $27 a month. That $27, yes, gives you the quick cash method. It gives you my entire super seller system. You know, how to give your page a makeover, how to name your page, how to attract buyer followers. We're going to show you how to go Facebook Live with confidence and do Facebook Live sales. And we're going to teach you the quick cash method. We're also going to teach you about Facebook Reels and how to actually publish Facebook Reels on top of our Instagram masterclass, our pricing masterclass, our website bootcamp. Everything that you need to successfully sell online is in that Handmade Sellers Club outside of Etsy. We want to help you build a sustainable business that doesn't just get closed down one day because Etsy decides that you broke a rule and they're not going to tell you what that rule is, or they change the algorithm, or they increase their fees, right? We want to show you how you can build your own sustainable business without having to depend on something like Etsy. You also get our full community. You get the Prompts for Profits calendar where we tell you exactly what to post to your page every single day, which is wonderful. It's one of the favorite features in the program. Everybody goes nuts over the Prompts for Profits calendar. So you get all of that, plus so much more that I didn't even mention here, for just $27 a month. You get the full-on support, Q&A with me, etc. So click on that link, get your 2-week trial for only $7. Snoop around, watch the trainings, join the group, ask some questions, and see if it's a good fit for you. Diana says, I'm a new member. It's a 6 weeks fast track action plan where I find the quick cash method. It is in there, yes, but it's not necessarily step 1. I think it is week 1. It's either week 1 or week 2. But do the things in order. Follow them in order. Okay. Michelle said, I did the trial and never left 4 years ago. That's what we hope. We hope that you see that you find a home with us here in Handmade Sellers Club. So you're not doing this alone and you're not out there just throwing things at the wall and trying to see what sticks. We're here to help you and support you. We'd love to see you in Handmade Sellers Club. And with that, I will be live again next week. We're going to do a hot seat. We're going to get a Handmade Sellers Club member to join us here on the stream and actually do live coaching for their business rather than just answering quick questions like I am in the comments. We're going to do some live coaching. We're going to look at their Facebook page. We'll even look at their website if that's what they want. Anything that they're stuck on in their business, we're going to do it live here on the call next week. And I'm so excited to see you guys then. Bye.